Vic's mind was swirling. Cheryl had just blurted out that she was falling in love with him and he didn't know how to react. He enjoyed her company, that much was certain, but was his fascination with her based on who she was and what she meant to him, or was it simply the thrill of doing something illicit, cheating behind his wife's back? All of these thoughts flooded his brain in a split second. He knew he had to respond, and do so without hesitation, for a lengthy pause would come off as a rejection of her, no matter what he told her. He acted quickly because he had no other choice. Cheryl, I don't know yet if it is love, but I find myself attracted to you. Even before tonight I found it increasingly difficult to get through the day without thinking of you and wanting to be with you. I don't know what to call it just yet, but I do know that I want to explore it with you. Is that what you wanted to hear? That's good enough for me, she said. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot just then, but I know how I feel. I haven't had much dating experience since my divorce, but you are what I've been looking for. I know it's seen as wrong, but for me being with you feels so right. Where do we go from here? I don't really know, Cheryl, I told her. This is uncharted territory for me and I don't know how we proceed. I do know that we have to be careful. I have to tell you, I haven't felt this alive in years. I want to explore everything with you, but I don't want you to think I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. Speaking of which, why wouldn't you let me return the favor a few minutes ago? Vic, you don't have to worry about me. My eyes are wide open about your situation and I don't want to cause trouble for you. I'm content being the other woman in your life. It feels good being with you and I'll accept whatever role I must in order to feel the way I do about you. Don't forget, you're not the only person who is lonely here. I thought I would never find someone who makes me feel the way you do. I'm ready to jump off the cliff. Okay, Cheryl. Let me call you this weekend and we can meet for coffee. We need to figure out how we want to proceed with this. I want to see where we can take it. But we need to set up some ground rules to protect both of us. I can take care of myself, but I don't want you getting hurt. Does that sound fair to you? Vic, it's more than fair. Give me a kiss and hold me. I need a hug to get through the weekend. We held each other for what seemed to be a long time, but it was actually just a couple minutes. Reluctantly, I got out of her car and watched her drive away. I had waited far too long for my wife to change her mind. I also was too scared to act on it and take a lover. I began to realize that I couldn't put a price tag on my happiness. I hadn't done anything wrong during my marriage to warrant a complete stoppage. At first I almost accepted it, thinking I had done something to deserve it, but recently I have become tired. I deserve a chance at happiness and I'm going after it. I've decided that, while discretion is necessary, it wouldn't be the end of the world if my wife and I split up. I love her, but it's obvious that she doesn't love me, and the longer this exile goes on it is becoming clear to me that she doesn't deserve my love anymore. On Friday night Elaine went out with her friends again. This has become routine lately, but it gives me a chance to call Cheryl. She answers her phone and is immediately in a good mood with me. It's funny how something so simple as a voice which is happy can elevate my mood. Yet another sign of the creeping malaise which has infected my relationship with my wife. It wouldn't bother me if she went out every night. Cheryl is ebullient, asking me about my day and telling me about hers. She can't wait for Monday night, as she wants me to see her home. I have a feeling that it's just a matter of time before we completely consummate this relationship, and Monday night could be pivotal. I asked her if she could find time to meet me at a Starbucks for coffee on Saturday. It's quite a ways from my house, but we need to be looking at places where my wife won't frequent. I can always claim that I need to go shopping for golf-related items as an excuse to get out. We agree to meet. Later that evening, I am in bed and almost asleep when Elaine comes home. She has clearly been drinking wine tonight, because she is tripping as she removes her shoes and clothing. She also has on way too much perfume, something I didn't notice earlier when she left. It isn't one of her usual 2 cents, but it's intoxicating in its own way. as soon as she heads for the shower and I drift off to sleep. Saturday morning I woke up and noticed that Elaine hadn't slept in our bed. It seemed odd that, we still shared the same bed, until last night. After I showered and shaved I walked down the hall to go downstairs and I noticed that the door to the guest bedroom was ajar. I peeked inside and there was Elaine, fast asleep in the guest bed. Maybe last night was a precursor to having separate bedrooms. I really didn't care anymore, so I walked downstairs to fix some breakfast. Later Elaine came down, still in her robe and slippers. "Rough night?" I asked her. "Oh, we were trying some new wine and I guess I had a little too much," she said. "My friend Francine insisted we try several kinds to see what we all liked. I probably should have called for a cab, but we were only a few miles away and I drove carefully on the way home. I promise that if it ever happens again I will get a ride home." "By the way," I asked, "what was that scent you were wearing last night? I could smell it when you got ready for the shower." "Oh, it's some obscure French brand I found the other day. I can't even remember the name unless I'm looking at the bottle." "Why do you ask?" "I thought that I could get more of it for you, if you like it." "Vic, you know I don't like you to buy perfume for me. I'm fussy about those things." I told her that I was going out to the golf store to pick up some new balls and a glove around noon. She just shrugged her shoulders. She spent the rest of the morning talking to one of her girlfriends on her phone. She wouldn't even notice I had gone. At noon I drive 30 miles across town to meet Cheryl at Starbucks. When I walked inside I didn't have to look hard to find her. She was seated at a small table. I gave her a peck on the cheek as I sat down next to her. We spent the better part of the next hour making up ground rules for meeting and talking to each other. No matter what my home life was like, we still needed to be discreet about seeing each other. Cheryl had a great idea about Monday night though. Since she wanted to show me her house, she thought it would be best if we both left Harry's separate and early. I would follow her to her house. She didn't want my friends to get suspicious for one, and she didn't want me going home too late and arousing suspicion with Elaine. We spent the rest of our time together talking softly and holding hands. As she got into her car to leave I took her into my arms and kissed her. I didn't want to let go of her, but she told me to wait until Monday night. She said it would be worth the wait. I found a golfing goods store and picked up some balls and a couple of gloves. The next day Elaine had two announcements for me. The first was that she felt we should sleep in separate bedrooms. The second dealt with Sundays. She told me that Sundays were going to be another day and evening with her friends. That made 2 nights out and about without me, and I couldn't care less. Between my 2 nights with Cheryl and her 2 nights out with her friends we had over half the week apart from each other. As for the sleeping arrangements, sleeping alone might not be such a bad idea. I offered to use the guest bedroom. When Elaine left for her dinner date, I used the opportunity to go find that perfume. I wanted to get some for Cheryl and I had to know the name. Funny, but it wasn't there. She had her Chanel and her Givenchy, but the new stuff wasn't there. No big deal, I thought. Maybe Cheryl would be able to help me out. That night Elaine was late getting in again. I could faintly smell that scent again. She must carry it in her purse, I thought. Tomorrow was Monday and I would be with Cheryl. Thoughts of her lingered in my brain until sleep took over. Monday's golf was incredible. I played my best golf of the year. My buddies had no clue, but I knew it was because I would be with Cheryl soon. She's all I think about now, and I am happier than any time I can remember in the last 5 years. That night at Harry's I nursed my beer. I told my friends that it wasn't going down too well and that I might call it a night early. Cheryl came in and sat at the bar, as usual. She had 1 drink and got up to leave. That was my cue. I announced that I wasn't feeling well and told them I was going to go home. Everyone congratulated me on my good round and then I was out the door. Cheryl was smiling as she started her car. I quickly got into mine and began to follow her. After about 10 minutes she pulled into a tree-lined lane. These were some nice homes here. She obviously got the house in her divorce settlement. There was no way she could afford one of these homes on her salary, I surmised. Finally she pulled into a driveway leading to a 2-story brick colonial. Wow, what a place. She opened the garage door and pulled in, motioning for me to park next to her. I did as I was told and parked my car next to hers. As I got out of my car she came to me and we embraced. I couldn't get you out of my mind, I whispered into her ear. Monday couldn't come fast enough. Me too, she said. Let me show you the house. She led me by the hand into her house. The place was beautifully furnished and she explained that her ex gave her everything in the settlement. He had a young girlfriend and he would do anything to get out of the marriage. Wow, Cheryl, this place is fantastic, I told her. Your ex must have really wanted out in a big way. How he could cheat on someone as gorgeous as you is beyond me. He always had a roving eye, she explained. I figured all men were like that, but I found out he had been cheating on me all along, and we were married 8 years. I must have been a fool. Look at it this way, honey. You got rid of him and got this fabulous home as a reward for his philandering. Not that it could make up for the heartache. Vic, the home is nice, but being alone just makes it that much harder to live here, at least up until now. She took my hand and led me to the master bedroom. It was as spectacular as the rest of the house, with a large sitting area, walk-in closets and a spectacular bathroom, complete with a huge jacuzzi tub. She was about to take me into another room but I stopped her, taking her into my arms. I kissed her and she responded me. I looked up into her face. There were tears forming in her eyes and I kissed her lips tenderly. Oh, Vic. I've liked you since the first minute I laid eyes on you. I can't believe you're here. All like a dream. It's no dream, honey, I whispered in her ear. I'm real, you're real. Finally, after 5 long years in exile, I was with someone who made me feel like a man again. I leaned over to her face and said the words I thought had eluded me forever. I love you, darling. There, I said it. I didn't care anymore about the consequences, about Elaine, about anything. The only thing that mattered was this amazing woman. Now I had to figure out a way to be with her forever.